My name is Hampley III. I'm a Chief Master Sergeant in the United States Air Force, and this is part 5 of my series called Stripes, Bullet Writing and Career Management. And this is the last series where I go over the Air Force Form 910 and the 911 line by line. And so this video series is based on a book that I wrote called Stripes. And so Stripes can be found on spiritualcombatants.com. If you click on the books link, then you can see you'll see the book image at the bottom of the page. Click on the image and you can download a free PDF or purchase a hard copy or an ebook at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, iBooks, or on the Google website as well. So you can purchase that if you like, but you can also download it and pick it up and use it right now. And so this video series, as I said, is just to cover the bullet writing process. And so I share a little bit more than just sitting down, hand jamming a bullet, because writing bullets begin long before that. And so I talked about this process about prepare, perform, and to document. And so this is the documentation phase, but in the performance phase or the preparation phase, we talked about the enlisted evaluation system, career mapping, and then in the performance, we talked about the word picture. So please check out those videos. And this one is going into the documentation part where we talked about in the last video, really breaking down how to write a bullet and kind of some of my own thoughts about that. And so now I'm going to share my thoughts about how to write a Air Force Form 910 line by line. And we also talked about in the last video, the duty description as well. And so that was the last one. The one before that, number 3, was the bullets, and then part 4 was the duty description. So this one I'm gonna go line by line, but this is my own thoughts about how to write an EPR. And this is just my process for how I kind of made chief, and so just trying to figure some things out, and I've been tinkering with the process over the years. And so this is just one chief's perspective. If you talk to another chief, they may look at it and say, no, I wouldn't use anything that he said, but this is the path that I had taken to make chief and be promoted to the rank of Chief Master Sergeant. So I really hope there's some information that you can gain out of this that will help you, and please share it with your friends. And then you may want to take this and kind of use that as your own and kind of grow from it and say, well, I like this part, but not that part. And so I'm going to kind of incorporate some other areas and kind of grow and kind of take off and use it as a springboard into something else. And that's quite okay, because this is your career, and there's different paths to get to your point B and to reach your goal. So I hope this has been a great benefit to you, but let's get into this. So what I want to talk about is this Air Force Form. As I said, we're going to go over the 910 first and just break down some things that I believe is really important. But the very first thing that's important, and I want to go over, is the word picture. And so this is the word picture where you gather all the information, all the performance bullets that you had. So now you're kind of gaining and gathering those things. So that's the first thing that you need before you start writing the EPR, really start to develop it. So that's number 1. Then the next thing you need to review your previous EPRs. This is absolutely critical, especially if you're going up for any enlisted force distribution panels. The reason why is because I reviewed someone's EPRs, I think last year. And so when I reviewed them, it said like for this one bullet, it had a similar bullet for like 3 years. And like the first year is like this 98% effective rate or on-time rate. The very next EPR, the next year said 95%. And then the next year after that said 92%. So while we may look at each EPR and say, oh, 92% is high, when you review all those EPRs together, you say, wait a minute, there's like a 6% decrease over 3 years. What story am I telling? And so you want to make sure as a supervisor and an airman that you're reviewing the previous EPRs to make sure if you're using bullets that may be the same or the same type of work, that you're really concerned, really looking at whether or not it's the same information or it may show a negative trend rather than something positive. So you want to make sure you review your previous EPRs. You also always, as I said before, you always want to have 36, 26, 18 with you, right next to you. Every time I review an EPR or I'm writing my own, I have it sitting right there because I want to see what they're saying for that rank, making sure I'm meeting the goals and responsibilities for that rank and tier, as well as the next rank or tier, so that I'm using specific words. I'm making sure that everything that they're saying about that next rank or tier, I'm already meeting, because I want to show I'm ready for that next promotion opportunity because I've already been performing the work. And so that's really important. And so now we go into the EPR small print. The EPR small print is kind of like a contract impact. And when you're buying a house or a car, it's all these little small words, and oftentimes we look them over, but it's really important because this is one way that you can begin to career map and map out how you build your career from one year to the next, especially if you're at one rank or enlisted force structure tier. And so you don't want to miss this, because this can really help you in building your career map that I talked about in the first video, and really outlining the things that you would like to do from year to year to year. So let's get into this for the 9-10. So in section 3, it says it has these 3 things about, well, there's more than 3, but I'll just list these right here: task, knowledge, and proficiency, innovate and motivation, skill level, upgrade training. So when you look at those, it's not all just job performance. And a lot of times for the 9-10, as I said in another video, we just put job performance in the top in section 3. Section 4, we'll put in, all like the training and education piece. And then section 5, we'll put all volunteer. Some of those do fit, but we don't really look at the small print. But when we look at the small print, then it'll help us kind of navigate how we're going to write things out. All right, let's get into the next one. So then it says in the same section has duty position requirements, qualification, certification, and then training of others. And that's the mentoring and the impact that you're having on other airmen. So when you look at all of those sections, that's a lot of different information that you can have. There's 5 things that's listed. There's 6 lines. So across the scope of maybe 2 or 3 EPRs, you can really outline and highlight, okay, this year I'm going to make sure I highlight this area. Next year I'm going to do this area. But in all of those, I'm going to show breadth of knowledge and experience. I'm going to show growth in each area. So if I mention something one year, then I may not use the same bullet the next year, but I may show how I've improved in that area. Maybe I'm supporting, I'm just helping out. Now I'm on the executive council, and then maybe I'm helping out in a wider area. So then I'm showing the growth, and then I'm showing the breadth. So I'm showing that I'm growing up on both ends, and I have a great report that shows breadth of knowledge, breadth of experience, and shows how I'm expanding and growing in my roles. And so now let's go into the bullet placement. So in bullet placement, for number 1, I always believe that there should be like a strong bullet that captures like an overview of your reporting period. It's kind of like a summary bullet. And it will that summary bullet should connect to your duty description. And so then they kind of all meet up, like, oh, I'm meeting these things, what I said in the duty description. Now my first line kind of sets it all off. And so I'm writing that really strong. Then lines 2 to 5, so lines 2 to 5, I'm gonna use strong bullets that illustrate a deliberate, now get this, deliberate word picture. I'm not just putting in bullets just like, boss, this is all I got. No, I'm very deliberate about the words that I use. My word choice is very specific. I'm going to show breadth of knowledge and experience, and I'm going to include accomplishments from my EPR small print, enlisted force structure, and also your duty description. So I just all talked about that. And then in line 6, I'm going to use a strong bullet that summarizes a different perspective of my duty description. So maybe like line 1 is really strong, and then my line 6 is really strong. Now, some people like to kind of tuck bullets in. They want to put like some weak bullet in line 3 or 4. We see that. So you're not going to get over on us. So just make sure you have strong, if you're mapping everything correctly, oftentimes you're going to have a metric ton of strong bullets, or at least 10, maybe you'll have 10 or more. Then you can just pick and choose what perspective you want to use for a specific year. And so you want to make sure that you capture that. And that's how I kind of write my last bullet. I want that last one really strong. So let's go on to the next one. So in section 4, for followership and leadership, here you have resource utilization, time management, how effectively you utilize your resources, complies with or enforce the standards, and then you also have like your communication skills, and then caring, respectful, and dignified environment, and for teamwork. And so when you look at the lines, there's 2 lines, but there's 4 items that's mentioned. So one year you may be able to add 2. The next year I'm gonna focus on 2 other ones, and then in that maybe if there's a third EPR in that same rank or enlisted force structure tier, then I may have a mix of both. Again, showing breadth of knowledge and experience, showing growth. Not just, I'm paying attention to what I write in my previous EPRs. That's really important, because for me, I try not to say the same thing each year. If I do say the same like subject, then I want to show that I grew in that subject, or I'm leading in a larger capacity, or my impact is greater, whatever I'm writing about that thing, so or about that subject. So I want to make sure that I'm capturing a larger scale of information. So let's go to the next one. So in the whole Airman concept, You have here like the core values, personal and professional development, and then also esprit de corps and community relations. So this really fits with the volunteer bullets because that's what we normally put down there anyway. So this will kind of tie in very nicely. So in line one, again, just a varied but complementary bullet. Just like in the other section, I want to use a complementary bullet that kind of captures some information, a unique perspective of that. But again, in all the sections that I'm using, I'm still trying to show breadth of knowledge and experience, recognizing that this is one document. This isn't like each section is used differently, but I wanted to capture one giant word picture. So each one I'm deliberate in what I'm writing, a unique perspective, but I'm making sure that they all tie in together because I want them to tell one solid story. Should I be promoted? Yes. Should I receive this career opportunity? Yes. So then I want my EPR to be written so well that that's going to make it hard for someone not to give me, a promote now, a must promote, or a stratification. Now, I want to be, if I'm on the line, then I want to make sure that my EPR is written very strong to give myself the opportunity to have those other career opportunities or promotion potential as well. So make sure that you're writing those. So going back to the section 5, here you have the strong bullet in the last line 2 that encompasses the whole Airman concept. And so I use this, oftentimes I use the last bullet, a really strong one on the front page because it's the last bullet on that front page. I want to make sure it may be a really strong bullet or it's a really good descriptive bullet. And we'll get into descriptive bullets here in a minute. So on the back side for the additional rater, the unit commander, and future roles, and so you only want to put the most significant accomplishments for the year on the back. You want your highest raters, your most senior raters to have the most impactful comments to say about you. Do not put anything on there that's not the strongest for the year. And so that's why career mapping is important, and you lay out all your bullets to make sure you kind of see what your accomplishments are and that you identify the top 5 or 6 bullets that you have on there, because some of the top bullets you're going to put on the front and then the strongest you're going to put on the back, but you want to kind of lay everything out in a very specific and deliberate function and purpose and method. You want to be purposeful in what you're doing. You want to make sure everything has a reason or purpose for being on that form. You don't want to just throw bullets out there because that's all you got. And a lot of us have years like that. I had some years like that, but you want to be very deliberate about your EPR to make sure every line is very specific, very purposeful, and is there for a reason. So when you look at awards, there's a couple ways that you can review this. You can, if you have a metric ton of awards, you can put one on the front, on that last line, so with your signature. You can put one with the additional rater, put one with the unit commander, so you can combine them all if you want. It just depends on what you have and kind of how you want to structure it and how you want to look, but just make sure that you have a well thought out process for how you want to do those. Not instead of, put like 3 or 4 bullets all with the unit commander. You can space them out if they're at different levels. So then you look at the bullet placement. Then you have here section 8, line 1, you may have the second or third strongest bullet for the entire reporting period. Maybe in line 2, with the additional rater, then you want the first or second strongest bullet. You can use a leadership, mentoring, or some type of an award win that you can have in there as well. And then with the unit commander, you can use your very top performance bullet for the year, a strong descriptive bullet, or duty bullet, or an award win as well. And so it's just all depending on what you would like to do. So the next section that you want to add in here, and I want to talk about the descriptive bullets, is that not every airman is going to receive a promote now or a must promote allocation. And so you want to be able to use bullets that kind of describe other things that you have, other attributes that kind of complement your career and kind of talk about what you're doing. They may not already be identified. When you're talking about being a strategic leader and visionary, mentor, sought after mentor, whatever level that you're at, if you're working at operational level, whatever that may be, and you're a tech sergeant, you're a staff sergeant, then you want to use words that describe your performance and who you are as an airman. That's extremely important. And so that kind of goes along with it, because now it begins to bolster and kind of brings about things. It's like the well-rounded piece. Like you covered like 3/4 of your bullets, of your EPR with all these other things. Now I'm kind of close off that last quarter by talking about a few descriptive bullets that kind of outline who I am and what I have done. And so then you kind of close those things out. You provide a nice descriptive bullet, because not every airman is going to get the must promote now. But if you have those descriptive bullets, then depending on what your rank is, you're going up for a board, then your EPR can be review based on, your senior leaders are saying that you have these skills or these attributes, these characteristics, and so that could really help you. And so now you look at future roles. Future roles are extremely important because either there may be a board that's you're being looked at for vectoring, or they're going to, or your career field manager on the base, or your base functional manager may look at these and say, okay, what's the next opportunity for you? And so then what you want to do, as you're vectoring yourself, you're looking at, okay, what's the next opportunity for me? Then it may be this next step, or the next step after that. So what you want to do, you want to look at your CFETP and then see what's next as far as on your career map, career pyramid, career path, whatever they may have or whatever they call it. Within your CFETP, you can talk to your base functional manager, or you can also talk to a higher level functional manager as well. But if you do that, just make sure you talk to your base functional manager first and your bosses, because then some functional managers would like to be put in the loop, or they would like to engage the functional managers themselves as opposed to you. So just make sure that you kind of talk to them first to find out kind of what their flavor is, and just, okay, I want to know what these are. If you don't know, if you may not know what other opportunities out there, do you mind if I talk to the next higher level functional manager, just kind of see what's out there, what may be available. So just make sure that you talk to them first. And so now we're going into the Air Force Form 911 line by line. And so there's going to be a lot of duplicate information, so I'm going to go through it very quick. So now you have here again the word picture, capturing everything. Previous EPRs, that's going to be considered for the promotion board. And so where there's the senior endorsement application. So you want to make sure that you're looking at all those EPRs and that they show career progression, breadth of knowledge, experience, they show growth. So you're looking at them, it's not just, I'm just throwing my bullets on there. I'm very deliberate about my placement on there. I'm very deliberate about the EPR bullets I put on there. Every bullet has a reason for being there. We're not just trying to tuck bullets in and try to hide anything, because you're not going to hide anything from anyone, but you want to make sure that each bullet has a purpose and it's deliberate, and you're showing growth, breadth of knowledge, breadth of experience. So you want to make sure that you're looking at your previous EPRs. You also want to look at 362618 for the same reason I talked about earlier and in other videos as well. And you want to look at, the EPR small print. EPR small print, again, is extremely important because this can help you in career mapping and outlining how you're going to go about things for each year, or while you're at a specific rank, or while you're within the senior NCO tier. And so let's look at the section 3. Mission accomplishment, resource utilization. You're talking about time management, equipment, manpower, and budget. You have team building and mentoring. You have communication skills, complies with or enforces standards. There's a lot of information. You're talking about 8 things, and then duty environments, and then training as well. And so this is your leading other airmen. It's not just always what you're doing, but how you're leading others as well. So you're talking about 8 things that you can add in there. You can add 1 each year, or you can do 4 one year for the next year. But you want to show, again, breadth of knowledge, experience, and show growth within your career while you're at that rank, or in each EPR shows progressive growth. So now look at line 1, you have here the strong bullet, the same thing that I talked about before, a strong bullet that really sets off the tone for your EPR and connects back to your duty description as well. And then in lines 2 to 7, same thing as the last one, as the 910, you want to show strong bullets with a deliberate word picture. Deliberate word picture showing breadth of knowledge, experience, and including accomplishments from the EPR small print, listed force structure, and your duty description. Just as the same with line 8 is the same as line 6 in section 3 of the 910. You want to use a strong bullet that summarizes or depicts a different perspective of your performance. All right, so let's go to the whole airman concept. So this one only has 2 sections on the front, whereas the Air Force 910 has 3. So here you have the whole airman concept, and you have Air Force core values, and you have personal and professional development, and then you have esprit de corps and community relations. Again, you have 3 sections here. You have 3 things, but then you only have 2 lines, so you can kind of break them up. You don't have to try to put all 3 in there every year. You can say, I'm gonna put 2 this year, then I'm gonna focus on the other one, and provide maybe a mix of the 2. I'm just going to kind of outline it, but I'm going to be very deliberate about how I build these bullets. And so now the bullet placement for whole airman concept, just as the last sections, you want to use complementary bullets that capture a unique perspective of that, but you want to make sure that the EPR is all one document. Remember that. So I want to capture everything, have those strong bullets, but then I also want to be very focused. So then in line 2, because it's the last bullet, the same thing. Maybe I want to use a very strong bullet at the bottom of the page, or a very strong descriptive bullet. So now when we're going to the back of the EPR, okay, and so now we have the additional rater, unit commander, future roles, and final evaluator section. And again, you want to use the most significant achievements for the reporting period with the highest endorser or evaluator. You want your senior raters to provide the most impactful comments on your bullets on the back page. Do not have anything that may be generic bullets or something that's not specific or very strong that captures your performance. Again, the same thing that I talked about with the awards goes along with this one. So now in bullet placement, you may have, like in section 7, you may have like the second or third strongest bullet for the entire reporting period. And in line 2 for the additional rater, you may have the strong duty performance, leadership, mentoring, or some type of award win. And then you also want to have in line 2 with the unit commander, you want to have a strong bullet that captures your performance. Same thing applies again. And then also with the final evaluator, you want to make sure it is like your top bullet for the year or award win, or probably, whatever you may have, a strong descriptive bullet, but you want to make sure that each one of those are strong. And so again, with the descriptive bullets, the same reason why I talked about for the 910, not every airman will receive a senior rater stratification or endorsement, so you want to make sure you use descriptive bullets. And then you also want to identify future roles. Those are extremely important as well for the same reason, because sometimes certain bullets, like I'll just say this, for a 910, for the 911, I'm not going to say that an airman should be a first sergeant on the back unless I really think that they have the capabilities. If you're like, I'm just being honest, if you are like someone like middle of the road and that's not your capabilities, I'm not saying you should be as first sergeant. I'm not putting that on there at all. Because I already understand what a first sergeant does. Everybody understands first sergeant. You put first sergeant on there, then that already gives a note about what your future potential could be or what it is today. And so if they're not ready for that, I'm not going to put it on there. So I'm going to make sure that I capture the right future roles for you based on your potential or the next thing that you're going to do. But I'm very cautious and very, very particular about what future roles that we put on there for an individual, and especially for myself as well. So now I'm gonna go over my 2015 EPR. I'm not gonna share every bullet that I have. I'm just gonna share a couple here or there and just talk about a couple of the things on there just for your use and just to show you what I was working with. So going back into my duty description that I talked about in the previous report, in the previous video, then I have the lead off for the first sergeant of the DoD's largest multi-service intel training unit with the 4,000 graduations a year, 11 specialties at 3 locations. That's very important. And so I have my office line, and I have the unit for line 3 and base, and then also you see line 4 that's here. So line 1 for section 3, and that's the only one I'm gonna go over for section 3, is that I expertly managed the wing's highest discipline load. We had 22 ARC 15s, 21 discharges, 3 courts, textbook execution every time. So when I wrote this bullet, there was no stripes. I was doing bullet writing, but I didn't have a formula or anything. And I really struggled with this first line because I wanted to have something real impactful, and I wanted to show everything that we were doing. Because now I'm in the Department of Defense's largest multi-service intel training unit, and by the numbers, we have the highest discipline on the base. And so what I do, I looked up all the discipline that we had each month, and we had the highest number of discipline. And so we also had on top of like the 22 ARC 15s and things, we had maybe about 50, 60 LORs. We probably had over 100 fraudulent enlistments that we're processing. Whole lot of stuff that's going on. So every week, either we were reviewing it, or we were either issuing ARC 15, or we're doing the investigation for one. Then we're giving out LORs, and there's a lot of things that are going on. And I really wanted to put the percentage that we had a great on-time percentage, but actually, our on-time percentage was like 69%, 72%. So I didn't use it. And the reason why it was so low, and I'm just going to share a little bit of a bonus about management leadership in this area, was because I investigated everything. And so what I found in a lot of commands, not every situation, but by the time with first sergeants and different people, by the time like you're enlisted or engaging, by the time something gets to the unit commander level, I mean, if you haven't taken care of it, it's a hot mess. And so I didn't want my commander to be fired because of something something I was doing or wasn't doing. So I investigated every last single complaint, everything that went on in the squadron. And we had a great team of MTLs. At the time, we had one year had two full-time additional duty first sergeant, 2 tech sergeants, and we were still overwhelmed. And then the last year had master sergeant, a full-time additional duty first sergeant, still working. We had a great team. We had some other master sergeants that also assisted us. We had a great operations suite, great flight chiefs. It was a great experience. We had a great team that really did a lot of great work. But I wanted to make sure we investigated everything so that anything that went down in our squadron, the command chief wasn't in my pockets calling me up, asking me what's going on. I gave him regular updates all the time. So when we had really crazy situations going on and international issues, nobody's calling and coming down to my office or figuring out what's going on, because we're making sure we're on top of things. And so that helps your commander. And one thing about being a senior leader is that you want to make sure you're protecting your commander. You're also there to provide enlisted perspective in a lot of meetings, but oftentimes you're in there to see, you can see ahead, like, hey, there's a certain trend or something's going down. I need to make sure I protect my commander. And so I'm going to do certain things that's not illegal, immoral, or unethical, but I can see the way ahead. And I'm going to make sure that my commander is not in his boss's office, getting his or her office getting chewed out because of something that I didn't do. And so I'm making sure that I'm protecting my commander. And then when my commander was promoted to below the colonel, man, we had like Operation Protect Eagle. And so we were like, Operation Protect Eagle has commenced. My commander is not losing his promotion because of me, and so, or because of anyone on our team. And so we're making sure we cover every base. No rock is unturned. We're going to make sure that he's well taken care of, because we all, as a first sergeant, I wanted my commander to be extremely proud of his squadron, and I wanted his airmen to be extremely proud of him and what he provided. And we had great commander, great team. It was awesome. But going back to the bullet, our numbers weren't well. And so what I wanted to do was say that I have textbook execution, because if we're in the DoD's largest multi-service intel training unit and we have the highest discipline load, I'm textbook. And so that kind of says on its own. So I didn't think I need to have like a super bullet or anything else beyond that. So let's go in my section 4. So in section 4, I have in line 1, we cultivated airman wins. And a lot of people, if they're supervising someone, they don't want to put their airmen's bullets on there. But guess what? If you're doing something great and your commander or wing finds out about it, even the MASCOM, they're going to use that bullet because they have oversight over you. You know, they're leading part, you're part of that organization. And so your airmen that may be working under you, then everything, we pushing airmen extremely hard. We're putting them in for everything. They're getting recognized. And so we can all share in the spoils. And so now I will put on there what my airmen have done. And so these are things that we have accomplished within there. So I always, if we're working airmen, even for duty description bullets, if I'm leading a directorate or a division or a flight, everything that my airmen are doing as I'm leading them, then I'm going to put that on my EPR. And so I struggled with that initially when I was a master sergeant, and after a couple EPRs, I was good to go. We kept pushing on. And so just make sure that as you are putting your airmen in and recognizing for different things and they're winning different awards, that you capture that on your EPR as well, because it begins to show your leadership and your mentoring of your airmen as well. And then in my last line here, I had that I was published author because I wrote a first sergeant book. And so that was going around the Air Force. And the reason why I used that bullet was because for a first sergeant, a lot of enlisted members are not writing. I see some changes in that, and a lot of airmen are writing books, and I do have I have a 10-step process. So if you want to learn how to write a book, or you're kind of trying to figure out your way, just kind of hit me up and I'll give you some tips and pointers. I will not do any designing or copy editing for you or anything like that. I'm not writing anything, but I'll at least provide you some guidance and some things and some resources that I use as close to free as possible to be able to publish a book. And so if you're interested in that, just hit me up. So I use that because it's not, so going back to the bullet, I use that because it's something a little bit different out of the norm that maybe other airmen, other first sergeants may not be accomplishing. So let's look at the back. So you're looking at my additional rater, unit commander, and final evaluator. So I took a very big gamble. This EPR I knew was extremely important because I was taking off my diamond, and I knew that when I go back to my career field, it would be extremely hard for me to match anything that I accomplished the last 3 years. And it was true. As soon as I got back to my career field, I was still mentoring and doing other things and leading, but there's no comparison. And so I'm putting all my eggs in the basket. I knew that this is my time, my shot to make chief. and I'm putting it all in, but I only used one performance bullet on the back. I had 3 descriptive bullets, and so this was a gamble. So my top bullet here, literally, the only thing I did, I created 10 questions. And so we have a process for fraudulent enlistments, and all the airmen were answering different things. And the process, if you don't do it correctly, we'll have airmen, or if the adjudicating official needs more questions, they're asking more questions, this process can take like a year or more. And so I was like, look, can we just have like 10 questions? I'm not in the process. I'm helping airmen to come in and out of the building. But then I'm like, can we just ask like 10 standard, have the airman answer 10 standard questions, and and then that way it's all uniform. And so the security manager agreed, asked if they can all type it on the form on level 68, good to go. Next thing I know, maybe about 8 months later, I'm like, man, where all the airmen go? And I'm like, they're all gone. And then that's when the light came off. Wait a minute, this is a bullet. And so I did all the math, and based on the math, we cut $3.8 million off. So it's my top bullet, and for the year. 10 simple questions. And so that's why when I go back to leaving your office better than what you found it and helping everybody, that's where that's from, when I talked about the word picture. So that's all I wanted to do. I was just tired of seeing airmen sitting around all day for a year. They can't start class, they can't do what they volunteered to serve their country for. And so I want to help speed the process up. That's all it was. 10 simple questions, top bullet for the year. So then I used my descriptive bullets. So let's go back to those. So these descriptive bullets, everything that I said in there can be proven. So then you want to make sure everything, if I'm gonna say something, it goes right back to it. I'm saying something, it goes right back to it. And everything that I'm using, because as a chief, I'm looking at everything, I'm using specific words out of 36, 26, 18 that captures specific information that says this is what chiefs do. I want to add that directly in my EPR. Very deliberate wording. And then when you look at my unit commander, that's exactly there. Care and sound judgment. That's what you want out of chiefs. So I was very specific about that. Now, it was a gamble because it was, again, a descriptive bullet, but I didn't see the need to kind of add anything else. I wanted to use just descriptions of my performance as opposed to using any type of specific bullet. And then here's my final evaluator. I don't even think I need to say anything. I don't even need to explain it. It's self-explanatory. And so sometimes it says, hey, I had this award win. And what I'll say about the award win is that I never thought in my entire career that I would ever be an Air Force level winner of anything. I mean, to be honest. And so all these awards that come through, oftentimes we like negative replies. Just look at them. For if you're a supervisor or if you're the subordinate, look at those. If you meet the criteria, put it in. And oftentimes, many packages all require about the same information. So you can keep one package like as a template, and then you can kind of, if you meet the criteria, then you can put it in as a template, and then you can use just kind of tweak it a little bit as each requirement may come up. Never thought that I would be, but my commander thought that when it came down, my commander looked at it and said, brought me in the office, said, Hamp, I really think that you qualify for this. It's for a 2-year period. They increased it to 2 years that year. Let's put something in. So we put it in a package. Didn't hear anything for like 3 months. Next, I was the AATC level winner. I was like, what? AATC level? What is this? I can actually be an Air Force level winner. And so that was like perfect timing, right on time. Highest board score I ever received, Chief Master Sergeant, second time testing, first time out of my career field after taking off the diamond. So this was my time, just my opportunity to share with you the Air Force 4 9, 10, and 9/11. As I talked about here, we're just going to go over just what I talked about throughout this entire series of videos: the enlisted evaluation system, career mapping, word picture, the bullet elements, and the EPR line by line. And so covering that prepare, perform, and document. And so this has been a great opportunity and a privilege and an honor to be able to share this information with you. This has been 20 years of my career that I was just trying to figure it out. And even when I asked for mentorship or help, oftentimes I was turned away, and sometimes some people helped me here and there, but I didn't have like one person they say, this is my mentor. And so I was really just trying to figure these things out. And so I wanted to use this resource and this media just to be able to share with you my process. So maybe you can use it, incorporate it, kind of twist it, change it as you need, and kind of, customize it for your career. And hopefully it'll help you to meet your goals, that you can serve your country honorably, you can reach the specific purpose that you have, whatever your point B may be. And if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to hit me up. I've received several emails since I put these videos out, so please feel free to kind of shoot me a message on the Global if you like. Comment if you have something that you would like to add. And if anything, any way that I can assist you, as long as I'm in the military, I will continue to help you out. I don't know if I'm going to continue to do this after I retire. I may just go to the VA and support the VA, but I don't know where I may go from this point. But if there's anything that I can do to help or assist you in your career, and if you hit me up after I retire, if there's some way that I can help you out, then I'm not going to turn you away. So if there's anything else I can do for you, please let me know, because every airman, I believe, is my airman as a chief, and my job is to assist you and to help you. As I'm providing a holistic perspective to our commanders, I also want to provide perspective to you to help you in your career as well. So until the next time, may God bless you abundantly. God bless.